Welcome back to the Boneyard podcast, everybody. This is your host, Jared Sheffield, along with my good friend,
Artemis Brower.
We're coming to you this week with episode 238.
238.
238. 238.
Yeah.
Artemis.
What's going on?
How we doing, brother?
We're doing good, man. We're doing good. We cannot complain. Cannot complain whatsoever. Life is lifing, but life is good at the same time. How about yourself, Doc?
Yeah, it's as we were talking about before going live tonight, I was telling you, so I work in advertising. The end of the month in advertising is the absolute craziest time of the month. And yeah, I had to double check my phone earlier to make sure that it was actually Wednesday. I was like, there's no way it's already Wednesday. The week's flying by, but I feel like there's 1,000 things that I could be doing. But hey, we're here. Life's peachy.
Hey, that's all you can ask for. Good health. You're breathing. As long as the family's good, the income is still steady, right?
If I could just get this AC thing figured out, man, it is sweltering.
Yeah.
In this house right now.
I'll say, Ashley and I are full steam ahead with this wedding prep, and it's getting to the nitty gritty. Where everything is getting finalized, but boy, oh boy, they didn't tell me.
Artie, imagine.
Now, let me say this just for the people. Yes, Ashley is doing 90% to 95% of the work. Okay, do not think I'm in here doing a lot of work. She is a woman.
Imagine being married to a wedding planner.
Yeah.
Which is what I did. I married a wedding planner, and that was good and bad. But just because she had this vision of the wedding, and I mean, she made it come to life. All of it. So I don't envy you. I was in charge of the DJ.
Saying I'm making the playlist and the DJ.
I had the do not. I created the do not playlist. I said no Cupid Shuffle, and
that's right. We may or may not have Cupid Shuffle there.
Look, that's not a knock on the Cupid Shuffle.
Electric Slide, yes, that will absolutely be played.
Well, yeah.
Cupid Shuffle, maybe not.
But like, I only wanted like one or two of those like line dance adjacent songs.
Yeah.
I don't even like choreographed songs. Is that what you call it? I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I only wanted one. I didn't want many of those. And then my wife has some. My wife and I'll say we have some pretty strong beliefs on certain music. Already, there's one that I just cannot stand. And then there's songs that my wife. No, there's an artist that I just do not like. For no other reason than people tell me I look like him.
Oh, okay, yeah.
That's the only reason.
Yeah. I mean, look, it could be worse.
That and his music, in my opinion, isn't the greatest. But oh well. But no, Savannah, there's some like classic songs that she just doesn't like, and she cringes every time they come on. Like I'm talking classics.
Oh yeah, no, I'm sorry. Like the classics are getting played, whether you like it or not. The classics are getting played. You can argue with me, yell at me later.
Like
you're gonna get played. Sorry.
Like I'm talking.
Once you get a few in you, you're gonna dance anyway.
Savannah will look at me and tell me I hate this song, no matter how drunk she is. And surprisingly, one of them is a big song at University of Chapel Hill.
So what are we talking? When we say classics, give us an example.
Sweet Caroline is the one that I'm talking about.
Wow, she doesn't like Sweet Caroline?
No.
That's literally built for her.
I know.
Wow.
Does not like Sweet Caroline.
Okay.
There's a couple others that I'm blanking on. I think there's like a couple Billy Joel songs she doesn't like. I'm like, come on now. But whatever.
I will say though, just a small little caveat. I'm not the biggest fan of Living on a Prayer. I only like it when ECU does it.
She doesn't really care for that one.
I'm not a big fan of Living on a Prayer.
She's not a big fan of really, I would say, any Bon Jovi. And I'm like, come on. Gotta love Bon Jovi. So, oh well. Already episode 238.
Yes.
238. Do you have a 38 for me?
I do have a 38 for you, brother. I'm going to the vault with this one. If you know, you know. If you don't, you don't. My 38 for this week is Kwame Brown, former NBA basketball player. Kwame Brown was a dog, but a lot of people label him as a bust. He was a former first overall pick by the Washington Wizards in 2001. Absolutely phenomenal. He was also, I think, the first pick ever selected, like straight from high school, as the number 1 overall pick. He didn't play college ball. He went straight from high school, number 1 overall pick to the Wizards. Played, pretty sure he had a 13, 14-year NBA career. Had a few highlights in his career, but never really panned out the way it needed to be. But I just remember Kwame Brown for having some of those seasons with the Bobcats when he was playing for the Bobcats back in the day, and he was an absolute dog. And if you know, you know. Unfortunately, he is labeled as a bust. It's a fair assessment because he was expected to have one of those type of like Dwayne Wade type of careers where not in the GOAT discussion, but he won a few championships. He was a legit player. He was an all-time Hall of Famer. Just didn't pan out, but that's my 38 for the week, Kwame Brown.
That's a good one. I was looking already. There's several really kind of elite pitchers in baseball from like the early mid 2000s that can be picked. I mean, first of all, Curt Schilling. Like, whether you agree with him on some of his beliefs, that's your problem. Look, he should be in the Hall of Fame. Yeah. Curt Schilling is one of the greatest pitchers of that generation. Not to mention the bloody sock back in 2007. If you haven't watched, there's a documentary on Netflix about the 2007 Red Sox. I believe it's a 3-part documentary. Go watch it. It is
great documentary. Yeah.
As Netflix really does pretty well.
Their sports documentaries are pretty top notch.
Yeah, no, they really are. The other one, there's a hockey documentary on there about like what is that? It's about like one of the minor league hockey teams and how one of the owners is involved with the mob and whatnot, and it's really interesting.
Yeah,
that's a good one. Full Swing, like the stuff that they do, like Drive to Survive and all that, like fantastic. And you're starting to see like Amazon and these other, I mean, obviously Hard Knocks and whatnot. We all know about that, but others are taking, other streaming platforms are taking Netflix's idea of, okay, we're going to follow for like a whole season, not just during training camp or whatever. Mm-hmm. And we're going to document like each and every move. Right. So yeah, that's a good one, but I don't want to go off on any more of a sidebar. I said Curt Schilling, Carlos Zambrano, Mike Hampton. A lot of people forget about Mike Hampton. I feel like that man pitched forever, but I don't think that it felt like his career was longer than it actually was. I mean, I guess I guess it was a 16-year career, but
That's a
I
long
mean,
career.
yeah, but like
You
it
can't
felt
say his career was longer than it actually. 16 years in the pros is a long time.
like it felt like
A long
that's
time.
a 16-year. The reason it felt long, like even longer than that, he did miss 2 years because of an injury. So really, that he was a pitcher in the major leagues for 18 years, but
God.
he didn't play in 2006 or 2007 because of an injury. And also shout out, played for the Braves for 4 years. So gotta give the man a shout out there. And then already just a fun one. Lamar Jackson, 38.
Really? You pulled this from the vault. When did you work 38?
Not the Lamar Jackson of the Baltimore Ravens.
Okay. All right. That makes sense. All right.
Lamar Jackson of most recently the Atlanta Falcons. So
Position?
DB.
DB. All right. All right.
Yeah.
Never heard of the kid. Wish him the best, though.
He was on the Jets. I think he wore 38 on the Jets too. But he's kind of been one of those like journeymen. Like I don't think he had any downs played last year, but I think he was rostered for 2 weeks last year. Believe he played for the Panthers for a little bit. But yeah, 2024 was an Atlanta Falcon. I honestly didn't know that.
I wouldn't know how you told me.
I saw 38 and I saw Lamar Jackson. I was like, what
Yeah,
the?
only Lamar Jackson I know is the one that played for Louisville and Baltimore.
Yeah. Yeah. But like it caught my eye because, Lamar Jackson wears 8. And I was like, 38's a weird number for a quarterback. Like I didn't think that was a quarterback number.
I was about to say, coaches don't even give you that number if you're a quarterback. Like, no, you're not.
No.
Stop that.
No. So yeah, that's my 38. All right, Artie. Let's get into it. ECU baseball. I had high hopes for him last weekend, man. I had high hopes. And then come out Friday and just absolutely get dominated. I think the final on that game was 20-1.
That's embarrassing. 20 to 5. 20
was
to
it
5.
20-5? I kind of stopped paying attention when it was 20-1.
Either way, like, they put up a football score and we put up a baseball score. That was the difference in the game.
And then the Pirates came right back in and run ruled them again, or run ruled them the next day.
That's just weird to me. You get run ruled the day before, the next day you go and run rule them. That is just weird.
Baseball is weird. College baseball is weirder,
man.
And then you drop the rubber game on Sunday. Just I don't know. I'm ready for the season to be over. I just am. And I hate to say that.
I mean, we were at home, which is the worst thing about it, right? You lose a series at home to a Tulane team, and they embarrassed you in game 1. Like you said, you come out in game 2, and you do what you got to do. But still, game 3 was still a blowout. They won 7-2 in game 2, so that was a blowout loss there.
I'll say, I mean, Tulane has had our number this year and last year. I mean, they're 5-1 against us in the last 2 years. It doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel right. And I don't, we've talked extensively about what needs to change. Look, nothing needs to really change. You just need another year. And I think this team has the potential. Mm-hmm. I also will say, I think Cliff Godwin has to change it up a little bit in his strategy in the offseason this year. We've talked about it. Need to look at the transfer portal a little bit harder this year. Need to be more willing to do that. And we don't always have to go after these stud prospects in high school, because what we've seen this year is when you bring in so many of them, and that jump from the high school level to the college level, it's a bigger jump than a lot of people think about, right? When you're playing high school ball, you're playing against a bunch of kids that they're going to go off to college, or they're going to go to trade school, or they're just going to go do whatever they do.
Right.
And they're never going to pick up a bat or ball ever again until they've got little Johnny, their 6-year-old son, that wants to learn how to play baseball. And then that's the next time they'll touch a ball. And they won't think about their playing time. I mean, they'll probably think about their playing time, but they're not going anywhere. And then you come to the college level where you're playing against certified future MLB prospects. And those kids are good. Those kids, for the most part, they're athletes. They know what they're doing. They're training and I use this term lightly, like professional athletes, because they're playing college ball, which we all know college athletics now is moving more and more towards a professional landscape.
Right.
So I think give them a year and we'll be fine.
I agree. And then to add on to that, I just think it's growing pains too. It's like we've mentioned this all season. It's a young team. So it's just growing pains. It's the inconsistencies speak of a team that is young, right? Not being able to string together outside of maybe one decent run, not really being able to string together 7, 8, 9 wins in a row. Really kind of put together like an ECU run that we're accustomed to like get yourself 13, 14, 15 games above 500. You give yourself a little bit of a cushion to where you can have maybe a Tuesday off, a Wednesday off, a bad night here. But we've been so inconsistent throughout the season, consistently inconsistent, which is why we're sitting where we're sitting. I really think this upcoming series with Wichita State is a make or break for the season. I think we have to sweep. We can't just win the series. We have to sweep that between Wichita State. But even still, the season is not going to pan out the way we want it to pan out. But more so looking towards just how we finish and how we can maybe try to get into not only the American Athletic Conference tournament, because only 8 teams. We're sitting at 6. I think that Wichita State we got to sweep that.
Yeah, I think we're. I haven't checked the standings this week, but I think we're firmly in the tournament. I'll say I hate going to Wichita, playing on that turf field with the shocker in center field. I hate it.
30 though. You got to sweep that. You got to find a way to sweep that.
Weird things always seem to happen in Wichita.
I'll say that. A bad ECU season, I get that. You still got to find a way to sweep a 13-30 team. You got to find a way to sweep that series.
Man, that's one school I just wish wasn't in our conference in anything. They had a good run in basketball. Historically, they've been pretty good in baseball, but we don't need Wichita State in this conference.
It's hard to get behind a school with no football.
Yeah.
It just is. It's hard to get behind a school with no football. Because outside of that, when your basketball is not perennially in the NCAA and when your baseball is not perennially in regionals, then it's like, what do you offer? Because you don't have football. So what do you offer?
Yeah. I don't know, man. They would never leave the Patriot League, but I would almost offer Army and Navy. But there's reasons they wouldn't leave, and I get it. I don't like having football only members, and I don't like having Olympic sport only members in the conference. I just don't. I don't think it makes sense. I don't think it makes sense for us to have to travel to Kansas every other year to play Wichita State. We're already traveling to Texas so much. I don't know.
Yeah.
Just my 2 cents. But you got it's almost a must sweep this weekend.
It is to really, because if we're looking at the last, I mean, you got UTSA, Which again, the last like UTSA at home and then Campbell at home. So like that 4 game stretch at home, you can get 2 out of those 4, at least 2 out of those 4 going
And
into
not to
that last
mention
series.
not to mention, yeah, that last series at South Florida. South Florida has one. They're not. If I remember correctly, like I said, I haven't checked the standings. I don't think they're world beaters. Last time I checked, I mean, it wasn't the greatest. So, but UTSA at home next weekend. Look, watch ECU sweep UTSA. That's the ECU shit that I know.
Now look, I'm more so I'm focused on a sweep with Wichita State. That again is I think at 10 games over 500. Right, you win the two out of the next 4 to break even, and then you go into South Florida like okay, everything's in front of us with South Florida.
Yeah, for sure. I'm just looking now.
To me, that's the best case scenario because just with the inconsistencies, we're not sweeping UTSA. It's not happening. And probably maybe not beating Campbell either.
And
so
that's the thing is UTSA just they do not deserve to be good. They play on a high school field. I don't know. Just pisses me off that this year they're good. No, I was wrong. South Florida is the number 2 team. So you play the 1 and 2 teams back to back weeks.
1 and 2 with Campbell squeezed in between that. So I mean, them last 7 games is
you got you got to scrap and claw. But luckily, I mean, ECU is sitting at 10-8. I don't think there's any chance Memphis catches them. Memphis is currently in last place, 9th in the conference, at 4-14 in the conference. So, which surprisingly, they have a better overall record than Wichita State. East Carolina's in. Is Memphis. Can Memphis get hot and catch either Wichita State or Rice? That's the question.
yeah. So melancholy for ECU baseball. Not what we're used to. I don't like this. I don't want to get this.
And I'm saying this as we're 13 games over 500.
Right. It's just like, yeah. Well, no, we're not 13 games over 500.
We're 26-19.
Yeah, 26-19, brother. We're 7 games over 500.
Jesus, I read that as 29 and 16. My bad. Math.
Gentlemen, that is an East Carolina education. That's why you tune in.
Hey. We didn't have R1 status when I was in school.
My goodness. 13 games over 5. Hold on.
Artie, I think that's just minor dyslexia.
Boy, the state fans are going to be in our fucking mentions after that one.
State fans can't read. Apparently, neither can I. All right. Anything else you want to talk about on baseball?
Nah, man. No, we can move from baseball, brother.
All right. Moving along. Let's talk about some basketball. What do you think about Mike Schwartz getting the extension, 1 year extension? I'll let you give your thoughts, and then I'll give mine. I don't think contract details are out yet, but did Mike Schwartz earn a year?
Yeah, I think it makes sense. I think it makes sense with the way that we ended this year, right? I think it was solely based off how we finished the regular season this year. It's like, okay, maybe there's a little bit of promise. Maybe there's something to build on here. I like the moves we made. We got the JUCO kid. I like that move. I don't know about it's the Providence kid that we got. I'm not too sure about him. He gets a lot of playing time there. Some of the other moves that we made. Go ahead.
Yeah, this Providence kid you mentioned, freshman transfer, Eli DeLaurier. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. transfers in, and I mean, 6'10" center. The guy, I mean, had some decent offers out of high school, including none other than like Texas A&M, West Virginia, Mississippi State. Um, this guy, why can I not think of his AAU team name? They're popular on TikTok. This AAU team, they kind of like, they're like an AAU version of the Harlem Globetrotters now. It's kind of crazy, like just absolutely talking the most shit. So hopefully he can bring some edge to this team. Like I said, played at Providence. I mean, I like this transfer. I like it. Seems like ECU tried to get some size in the transfer portal with Eli and then Giovanni. I'm not even gonna try the 5th year guy out, George Mason. I mean, 6'11", 265 pounds. That's a man.
That's a man. That's a man.
Yeah, I mean, and then this Corey Calker guy, he was, from my understanding, verbally committed to Louisville.
Right.
And then chose to sign with ECU. He was never a hard commit at Louisville, but then he actually signed with ECU. So,
but his numbers I do like 13
I
to
do.
44 in JUCO. He was a JUCO all conference. Like
Yep.
his coach speaks really highly of him and his leadership. So like I like the Corey Calker pickup that we got. That makes me a little bit excited because his numbers for college, it's legit numbers.
Yeah.
Does it translate to this level? We'll see. But
yeah, we'll see. I mean, ECU last year was terrible at shooting the deep ball, and he seems like I think he shot like 35% from three, which is about a little above average in NCAA.
mm-hmm.
Now, does that translate from the JUCO level to the D1 level? We'll have to see next year. But I like that, bringing him in at point guard. So yeah, go ahead.
No, yeah, I was gonna say I do like the 1 year extension because look, this is basically a tester, right? Like we're gonna see what shorts because now it's put up a shut up. Now he's been here for a few years. This is like okay, like let's legit. We're not saying you got to go win the conference.
The people complaining about the people complaining about the extension.
No, hell no.
They're out there. They're out there. I'm looking at you, Denny O'Brien.
Stop that. We're talking about ECU bad. We're talking about a program that's never been successful. Stop that.
Guy had the most successful season in ECU history last year. From a win-loss standpoint, the best season that ECU's had, I believe, in 50 years.
Yeah, like, you got to let this build now. I mean, you got to give people a shot. You got to give people a chance. We're not in a situation like, oh, if he doesn't get it turned around in 2 or 3 years, he's excommunicado. No, we're not that program.
Yeah,
we're not that program. You got to give people some time.
You got to let him. You got to let him do his thing. Like you've got to let.
You do have to show progress each and every single year, though. Like it can't be a step back. Like you can't get this extension and then have a step back from last year because that's the same old. And then it's like, okay, yeah, we don't need you. It's got to be continual progression.
It's just getting so much harder at East Carolina to be good at basketball.
Yes.
With the way the transfer portal is.
Yes.
I mean, basketball has never been the easiest, especially to recruit in this area. But now even more so because you have a good year and now you're going off to UConn or you're going to Virginia or you're going to Carolina or you're whatever. And they're taking them and paying them money that honestly ECU can't afford. Now, I've said it once, I'll say it again. There's 3 ways to be good in basketball. You have a miraculous season, you cheat, or you just get lucky, or you're a blue blood. And
Yeah.
those are the 3 ways to get good in basketball. If you have 1 or 2 good years in a row where
it does wonders to your program. It brings the kind of
notoriety,
unlike stuff that it's wonders, like FAU, for example, right? Like
you get into the tournament and somehow make a trip to the Sweet 16 and maybe pull off an upset. That's how you build a brand in basketball.
right.
And you only need to do it twice. And people start to say, "Oh, I mean, people still talk about Florida Gulf Coast. People are talking about Florida Atlantic, San Diego State.
Yep. San Diego State's not going anywhere either. That's a really good program. They'll be back.
So that I've said it for the longest. I've said that for the last 10 years. 3 ways to get good. And now the cheating part, everybody can do it right now. It's not really so much cheating. It's okay.
It's not cheating anymore because
can you buy a team?
It's not below the table. It's on top of the table.
I mean, you look at the years that Larry Brown was at SMU. I mean, remember SMU, the school that got the death penalty, right? Then Larry Brown comes back, and he was still cheating in the what? When was he there? Like 2014 to 2016, I believe, at SMU, and they were the best team in the conference, and they were cheating.
As a basketball purist, Larry Brown is still one of the greatest coaches of all time. I don't care.
Yeah.
Even not. Larry Brown is phenomenal.
Yeah. But you also don't bring in a coach like that and not be willing to pony up money, even if it is below the table, to be good in college basketball. You're SMU, right? Like, come on. So yeah, 3 ways to get good. ECU's gonna. I mean, Wichita State about a decade ago, right, was top 25 team, top 20 team.
And we thought they would be able to sustain that. Unfortunately,
that's the whole reason they got invited to the American Athletic Conference
because of the runs they made. Yeah,
in basketball.
Because it wasn't just one run; they had like 2 or 3 really good seasons.
Yeah. Whatever. All right. Anything else on basketball, Artie?
Nah, brother.
All right, moving along. Let's talk spring game. I know you weren't able to make it. I was there. I saw a lot of good things, Artie. And granted, like it's the spring game. You're not going out there and expecting to see a ton, but you want to see the guys put on a show, and you want to see. Okay, really, it's just a way for you to see our 1s versus our 2s. Maybe see if there's any new schemes or anything like that. I didn't see anything like too wild, and we weren't going to. It's the spring game. They don't want to put anything out there that's open to the public, right? What I will say, first off, Ken Hauser, I believe he only played 2 drives. That's okay. We know. On our way down there, I went down there with longtime friend of the podcast, Brandon Avery, and on our way down there, we were talking. I was like, "This is the first time in 3 years that ECU had a clear guy
Right.
that
Like
is going to be
you
your
know who your
quarterback.
defense starter is. Yes.
You know who's the quarterback for week 1 at NC State. There's no question about who that guy is, barring, knock on wood, any injury, right? And even then, I don't think there's much conversation around who's the number 2 guy. I think once you start talking about who's the 3, I think there's some conversation there. But I think if you can, one of those 3 or 4s, you're definitely going to redshirt one of them this year. My guess is that guy's going to be Chaston Ditta, guy out of Texas. Okay. Which that guy, for not having, I'd seen his film, and I've said this, like Cole Hodge was recruited under Donnie Kirkpatrick, committed under Donnie, committed under Mike Houston, and then when Donnie was fired, I'm still committed. Houston's fired. I'm still I committed to the school. I didn't commit to a coach. I love that mentality. Chaston Ditta is John David Baker's guy. He recruited him. He went out and got him.
So what are you saying here?
My guess is Ditta is going to be the 3. Even though
Hauser, Jeter, Ditta, Hodge. Wow. Okay.
That right now, that is my depth chart in the QB room.
Okay.
And I mean, that's not.
Which, I mean, no, Hauser, Jeter is kind of how it should have shaped up.
Yeah.
But between Ditta and Hodge, I thought maybe Hodge, will be the 3.
He's got that name. He's been committed for so long, because you got to remember he reclassified.
Right.
He should have been in last year, but reclassified, had surgery, and skipped a year. Took a year off. Now he's healthy again. Comes in with his brother Cole. No, I'm thinking. I would be surprised if that QB competition in 2 years isn't a heavy competition. I think both those guys are good. Right? We're talking the Gatorade athlete. We're talking about Hodge, who is the Gatorade athlete in the state of Kentucky in football. Like, this guy was, I believe he was Mr. Football in Kentucky 2 years ago.
You think he's still here in 2 years? Because usually when you are that highly recruited, that highly touted, you got to sit for that long, you're probably gonna be like, with this day and age, I'm gonna go try to find greener pastures, even if they are not greener pastures. You're gonna try anyway.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. I'm curious. Because you were there. You and Brandon were there. How did Jeter look? Because Jeter is probably the clear cut number 2. If he does have to step in and play anytime, though, like, how does he look? How do you think he is prepared coming into this season as the number 2?
Probably. I'll say this. Grant, once again, this is a spring game already, so there's nothing really on the line.
Right.
I'll say this about Jeter: the dude can sling it. And he's got a nice spiral. I think he's got some pretty good pocket presence. I'm not worried if he has to come in against a team like Tulsa. I'm not worried. I think he's competent enough to do the job and get the win. I've got faith in him, and the guy's a baller. Like, the guy can make things happen, much like Hauser. Now, Hauser, I believe, has a little bit better football IQ. Like, I feel like Hauser would be a guy that John Gruden would like to talk to.
Right.
About reading plays and reading defenses, things like that. I think that Hauser's that kind of guy.
Which I would expect because he did come from a perennial conference, right? Like he started at Michigan State. Although it did not go well, although it was not a great season, he still had the abilities and the capabilities to play out of Michigan State. So I would expect that high IQ from someone like a Hauser.
Yeah, and that was as a freshman. So I think Hauser's the real deal. And I do think that I think Jeter's fine. If he can get some of that timing down, I think we would be fine with Jeter.
Mm-hmm.
I'm kind of surprised that Jeter has hung around this long. Because this man, it feels like he's been in the program forever.
It does feel like he's been in for. But honestly, at this point, he probably knows now. After this season, he is the guy. Like he's going into next season as the guy. If Hauser does not come back, but
I don't see Hauser. Maybe he has a miraculous season and gets an offer somewhere. I don't know that Hauser is going to go somewhere. He seems pretty. Once again,
this all depends on performance, what we do on the field this season.
I agree. But he's JDB's guy too.
Right.
That was JDB's first transfer.
Which I would love that. I would honestly love to have not only a great season from Hauser and a great performance from this team, and then he's like, no, let's run it back.
You can go and do great things at ECU and be drafted and get a shot. And with his football IQ, with his arm, and with his ability to run the ball, I could see and I hate to do this. If he has a couple good years, like the next 2 years, I don't know that he'll be drafted, but I could see him having a career as a backup quarterback that goes to a team that has like a true number one guy in the NFL,
mm-hmm.
and be a backup and be a career backup in the NFL. I could see that.
Career, we've said this before on the podcast.
That's the best job.
Career backup quarterback is one of the best jobs in the world.
Outside of a career backup kicker, that's the best job.
That's one of the best jobs in the world. As long as you got a good football IQ and you are just athletic enough and you can just make enough plays, oh yeah, that's one of the greatest jobs of all time.
Like a Kurt Binkert.
This is one of you're sitting there. There's no pressure on you, but you're still on the roster and you're a millionaire. That's one of the greatest jobs of all time.
Yeah. But I could even see it comparing. I think ceiling wise, and maybe I'm going to regret saying this in 2 years. I could see him having a career similar to like a Gardner Minshew, if everything plays out the way that Gardner Minshew was a good quarterback in college. He wasn't the greatest at ECU, and we all know the whole story there about him trying to break his hand and all that. But
Washington State.
He went to Washington State, balled out, and got an opportunity. I could see Hauser, if he were to leave, I could see him doing something similar. So, but honestly, if I'm JDB and I've got Ditta and Hodge there next year, and those guys look like they can do the job too.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm JDB and Blake Harrell, I don't know that there's that much of a drop off between Jeter and 3 and 4. Like those guys have the talent.
Interesting.
Yeah, those guys have the talent, and this room is so deep. And granted, you just had a guy transferred, John David Black, entered the transfer portal, I believe, on Sunday. Look, ECU has 4 quarterbacks that can play at the D1 level right now. Now, maybe Ditta and Hodge have.
Yeah, so Ditta and Hodge can't start right now.
But they could go somewhere. If they went to a MAC school, they would be they would probably be getting snaps.
For one. Yeah, absolutely. But the writing was on the wall with Black. Is basically what you're saying? Like it wasn't. Yeah. It was not any type.
But he was still like the guy could sling it.
Heard he had a good spring game.
He did. Now he's got some film that he can show. And what a move by JDB, saying that he would talk to any coach that had questions about him.
Yeah.
And that wherever he landed, he was going to be a stud.
Just like being a good manager, right? Hey, look, he's not with us no more, but hey, he was a stud when he was with us. And I got you. So.
Yeah, love that. Liked what I saw from the defense. The guy, and maybe this isn't a name that, and I'm going to say this again. It was the spring game. You're playing against the guys that you've been lined up against all spring. There was one guy that kind of stood out to me. Newcomer, transfer on the D line. I don't know that he's going to get a ton of playing time this year, but I like the potential that I saw just from the spring game.
Mm-hmm.
Now, granted, he didn't get many snaps last year at Liberty. I like this Luke Holmes guy. Not Luke Combs, Luke Holmes. If you know, you know. No, I like him. I really like what this front seven can do on defense. I think there's a lot of speed there. And I mean, in the spring game, we didn't even see like a Raheem Craig. He wasn't dressed out. You got a lot of talent there.
Mm-hmm.
And then you've still got a pretty good secondary. This defense isn't going to take a step back. Even after losing several guys, you're not taking a step back.
I was going to ask, because that was like the consensus that like the defense is not going to be terrible, but a little bit of a step back is kind of, you know.
I think they made the right additions. I think they made the right additions and kept the same guys, or the right guys at ECU. The right guys got what they deserved in state.
But you're saying that the front seven is going to be the catalyst of this defense.
I think overall, and we've said it the last probably 3 years, ECU's defense has been the strength of ECU football.
Yes, absolutely.
And it's always been, hey, we've got a lockdown secondary and good run defense. The problem with ECU's defense in the past, like the past 2 or 3 years, is while they get good pressure, they haven't been very good at hitting the quarterback.
Right. They don't land.
Right. They get in the backfield, but they're not getting the sacks. They got a bunch of QB pressures, not a ton of sacks. I think you're going to see ECU get more sacks this year than they have in a while.
Okay. Okay. That honestly makes me very, very excited. If that front seven not only gets the pressure, but actually put that boy on the ground, yes. Because then that naturally makes your secondary better. It just gives them more time. It gives them more ample opportunity. It gives them more. That just naturally is going to make your secondary better. That front seven is really everything for a defense.
Yeah, I mean, you look at it, and the secondary. Look, you don't have Chavone Revel, but you didn't have him for most of the year last year.
You're right. You didn't. You really didn't have him for a bulk of the year.
Having guys, I mean, you got Tegan Wilk back, friend of the podcast. You got Jamarly Riddle, dude had a stellar year as a freshman last year. You've still got Sam Dinka back there, right? Like you're not bad in the DB room, right? I mean, Dinka's I guess on the D line, but still, you've got those guys. You got JD Lampley coming back, right? The senior. You got these guys: Xavier McIver, Zion Wilson, Josiah Robinson. Like these guys have been here and have done this, and they're really growing into it, right? I mean, out of those guys, I listed 4 seniors and a junior on the D line that have been here and been doing it for a while. So yeah, I like that. And then yeah, like the linebacker room. We'll see what happens there, but I think we'll be fine. But that Noah Holmes, I said Liberty. I believe he was at JMU last year.
Okay.
So yeah, and then they tried some different things on the offensive line. Look, I'm not taking a bunch out from the offensive line on a spring game. I'm not. It's you're gonna have another year of piecing it together. I think they'll be fine though. I think they'll be better than they were last year. And what I'll say, Artie, that offensive line will be helped out tremendous. I put a tweet out the other day that look, ECU has a decent history, especially recently, of stellar running backs. I think this may be the deepest the running back room has been in a long time.
But the run game is only as good as the line. Run game is only as good as the line.
I'll already what I'll let me rephrase then. You've got more shiftiness in the running back room now, and you've got a lot of speed. And what we started seeing at the end of last year, and we saw it a couple times in the spring game, these kind of option, like kind of a I don't know, like a shovel pass option, like kind of some. I wouldn't even really call it a triple option, but having a receiver come across in a jet, and then having more of a read option. We saw that a little bit in the spring game. We saw it a little bit last year, but we also saw the outside like speed option with Hauser. I think you're going to see that quite a bit more this year.
And I will say if your line is not going to be as good as you would want it to be, then that means you do need the shiftiness of backs that can break tackles, right? That can get past the first, at least get to the second level, and then what happens when they get to the second level is up to them. I will still say, like, if that line is shaky, I don't know how good that run game is going to be, just because it's got to be solid. It's got to be at least decent.
Look, you've got guys there. I mean, you got Jacob Sacra still there.
And JDB likes to run up tempo too, so it's like, okay, if the
You're
whole line's going to be, if they're going to be shaky, and then they're going to be fatigued at the same time, because we're not an offense that slows it down now. We're an offense that's up tempo. So can they go?
and you've gotten a lot. You've gotten a lot of experience on this offensive line now, right? Like you've got Emmanuel Poku still there. You've got, like I said, Jacob Sacra still there. But you also bring in guys like a Kyle Long from Maryland, right? A Carson Jones from Houston, right? You brought in some, like ECU's done it in the past where we bring in a guy from the FCS ranks, right? Like he was a good offensive lineman in the FCS.
Right.
Does that translate in FBS? Most of the time it does, but it's not the same level, right? You've brought in guys from P5 schools that, I mean, are, let's be honest, corn-fed boy. I mean, Carson Jones is from Lubbock, Texas, and played at Houston. Come on now.
But I will say at our level too, it is hard to get that kind of premium premier O line that you're looking for, right? Because we are ECU. I will say, if you get that O line fixed to where they're like at an elite level, I mean, we're probably putting up 40 a game, right? With the kind of offense that JDB wants to run, with the kind of weapons that we've had that we're accustomed to having, I mean, you're probably putting up real numbers.
I don't think this team's going to have any problem scoring touchdowns.
I don't think so either, just because I do believe in JDB and what he runs. But I do think the patchwork O-line at times can give us some troubles, because we're going to have to establish a run game against some of these teams. And we're not able to establish that, then we got to put the ball in Hauser's hand. It creates more pressure on him. Those receivers got to get open. They got to make splash plays. And then you're in a track meet that's not really a track meet, because you can never get the run game going. So,
yeah. No, I get it. And I like the size that we have on the O line right now.
but it's just spring. It's just spring. We got so much to go. We got so much farther to go.
But back to the running back room, Artie. I mean, having guys, London Montgomery is an absolute stud. That guy's good. We saw it last year. That guy's good. TJ Engelman, another stud running back. Both guys really quick. Parker Jenkins, a little bit of a bruiser back. I mean, 5'11", 200 pounds. But the dude, another transfer from Houston. ECU brings in 3 transfers from Houston. Now, granted, Houston wasn't that great last year, but you brought in 3 guys that were playing in the P5 level, right? Parker Jenkins is one of those guys that came to ECU from Houston. And then you've still got Marlon Gunn in there. So
yeah,
I really like how that room's shaping out. Yeah, I really like liked what I saw. Now we can talk. I don't want to talk too much about special teams. It's a spring game. It looked like Noah Perez is the guy right now. That he looked like the guy that is going to be your kicker. I know he had a couple misses, and people are going to say that the guy holding the football for the kicks. Listen to me, ECU. Listen to me, Pirate Nation. Before you flip out on special teams after a spring game, and I haven't seen anybody talk about it too much. Before you talk about ECU special teams in a spring game and missed kicks in a spring game, the guy holding the football for the kicks was Brock Spalding, a wide receiver, and the guy that they were trotting out there to do kickoff returns. Okay. He was holding the football wearing both gloves, and I counted no less than 4 times that the laces were in.
So you're saying we need a holder?
No, I mean, I think that they were just like, all right, Brock, you're kind of like our special teams, like kind of designated guy today.
Testing it out.
Just go out there and hold the football.
Nah, not spring game, spring practice, real
Brock
game.
Spalding is not going to be your holder.
I want the holder out there at all times. When it comes to special teams, I want the real thing out there at all times. This is special teams. We're talking
Brock Spalding is not going to be your holder.
We're not talking about getting tackled. So I don't care if it's a spring game. I want the real day one starters out there every single time.
I get it.
Reps in. I don't want if Brock Spalding's not going to be my holder. Why the hell is he out there? Why is he there? I don't want him getting reps. He's not my holder.
I don't know. I don't know.
I want my day one starters getting these reps in every single time. Every time. Like, come on now. We're talking special teams.
My guess is the guy's going to be Everett Scott. And the thing is that guy's also a place kicker. Okay. He's going to be your kickoff specialist, Everett Scott. And I believe Noah Perez it's still probably going to be there's probably still going to be some level of competition between Noah Perez and Andrew Conrad.
Mm-hmm.
But right now, your place kicker is probably Everett Scott, or your holder is probably Everett Scott because he's going to be your kickoff specialist. Now they may go punter. I don't. If I remember correctly, he may have been punting too. So we'll see. Thomas O'Halloran, the Aussie. The Aussie that looks more Irish and has the Irish name, and Ethan Stump are the punters listed on the roster. But my guess is Everett Scott's going to be the guy doing the lion's share of kickoffs and punts. I don't see Andrew Conrad or Noah Perez doing that.
Yeah. Hey, look, Bill Belichick won 3 rings off the leg of Adam Vinatieri. Y'all keep thinking special teams not important.
Special teams wins ball games.
Special teams wins championships sometimes.
Damn right.
So,
and I always forget how small Noah Perez is. Dude's only 5'7", 160 pounds. Gets to play football and go to college at East Carolina. Love that. Love that. That's a short king right there.
Love it.
All right. Real quick, let's talk about the draft. Siobhan Rebel, round 3 overall, 76 pick, excuse me, in the draft to the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah.
I think had he played a full year last year, that guy's no doubt a first-round draft pick.
Yeah, I mean, look, he tore his ACL and still went 3rd round.
Yeah.
Still went 3rd round. So, yes, I think
3 games last year.
Had he put together a complete season and really balled out, which he would have balled out, yes, he would have been the 25th, 26th pick in the first round of the NFL draft. That would have absolutely been a thing. But I'm happy for him. He's going to Dallas. Dallas is kind of a mess, but it's also America's team, a lot of money. He's gonna have an opportunity. He's gonna have an opportunity to go there and shine. So, and I think he will. I think Rebel will go there, and he will do his thing. I think it will be more like a Jaquan McMillan story, where he's gonna show up, he's gonna do his thing, he's gonna ball out. That's the kind of trajectory I see for Rebel.
Yeah, I like the opportunity for him, and being a third round pick, you're gonna get playing time.
Yeah. They believe if you're a third round pick, they believe in you. They still believe you can come
Yeah,
in, you can play.
yeah. All right, Rajay Harris goes to the Bills, signs a contract with the Bills, undrafted free agent. Winston Wright Jr. with the Bucks. Parker Moore, friend of the podcast, Parker Moore
Yes,
to the Giants, and then
happy to see him get an opportunity.
another offensive lineman, Dustin Hall, goes to the Raiders. Congratulations to all those guys. Several friends of the podcast in there.
Yeah,
And then I'd be remiss if I didn't shout out that Chavon Rebel is also a Winston-Salem kid.
he is. Trey Foe.
There you have it. All right, we're not going to do gambling corner this week. I don't really think there's much going on other than NHL and NBA playoffs. It's kind of harder to bet on those games or on those sports because it's kind of happening right now and it's less lead up. But let's do walk the plank already. I feel like there's a lot that can be talked about on walk the plank. Where's your head at?
I guess I will go with the just off the whim, the whole Shador Sanders stuff with the NFL draft. Number one, overhyped a little bit for me. I just didn't like the whole overhypeness over you know coverage of it. But I will say the NFL they definitely made a decision. They definitely said, hey, like a lot of teams, and it wasn't a lot of teams that needed a quarterback. It was probably 3, 4, 5 teams that needed a quarterback, and they viewed Shador as a backup.
Yeah,
They just did. They viewed him as a backup. They didn't think he was first round talent, and that's fair, given what he put out on the field. I think he had a phenomenal year. I think he is a really good quarterback, but I will agree, I don't think he was ever a great quarterback in college. And I understand that he didn't give you that wow factor. And then the outside intangibles of that, the celebrity that comes with it, his dad kind of, doing what Dion does, which I love Dion. I'm always going to support Dion. I'm a Dion supporter. But I do think he kind of maybe diminished his son's draft stock a little bit with saying, hey, we're not going to do certain interviews, we're not going to do certain things, we're not going to show up with certain things. So I think what Shador got was a healthy dose of you're not bigger than the system, right? Like this is there's a certain way we do things, and we don't care about the celebrity, and we don't care about your dad, and we don't care about this, that, and the third. Like you have to show up and you have to do things a certain way to be because when you're the quarterback of a team, you're not a receiver. A receiver can be a diva. A running back can be a diva. A defensive end can be a diva. Quarterback can't be a diva. Quarterback's got to show up to work and be the guy. He's got to be the president of the franchise.
I was just about to say he's the face of the franchise.
He's the face and the president and the CEO of the. You got to show up and do certain things. So,
granted, sorry to cut you off, Artie.
No, go ahead.
Granted, the Cleveland Browns, their quarterback. Look, it doesn't take much to be better than what you have currently. And while they do probably see him as a backup, and they've got, I believe, 5 QBs on the roster. Did they draft another QB?
They drafted Dylan Gabriel before Shador, and I'm gonna finish up after you.
Yeah, really, like you got 5 QB. Look, Deshaun Watson. We all have thoughts on Deshaun Watson. Dude re-injured his Achilles again. The guy's career is probably over.
It's over. It's
Like
over.
you can come back from one Achilles injury. I don't think you
You're not
come
coming
back
back.
from a second.
No, you're not coming back.
Okay. Yes, they drafted Dylan Gabriel. Dylan Gabriel, if people remember, and maybe this is some revisionist history, Dylan Gabriel was being talked about for the Heisman 2-3 years ago. Right? Now he was one of those guys that was all over the place. Lost to ECU at one point. Shout out. But I don't think that it's the worst position for Shedeur to be in. He's just going to have to work for that starting job. It's not just going to be handed to him.
Yeah, he's got to be all about ball. He's got to take it. And I think he handled the prank situation, and I think he handled the draft situation as good as you can possibly handle it. There's not a better example to handle that the way he handled that. He handled that excellent. I will say, walk the plank to his preparation. He didn't prepare for that the right way. I don't think his dad helped him prepare for that the right way.
The sitting out of the Senior Bowl and not participating in the Shrine Bowl and not doing specific workouts or not, I mean, it sounds like his interview.
It sounds like it was one of the worst of all time, the way they're making it out to be.
My Siri just went off. Like, what the heck? No, it sounds like the guy could have probably applied for a job at Goodwill and not gotten the job because of his interview. Like, it sounded like it was terrible. Now, there's a bunch of speculation about and rumors about how those interviews went.
Right.
But you're in these interviews with the GMs, with the offensive coordinator, with the head coach, with scouts, right? You're in these interviews, and it's like 4, 5, 6 on 1. And in those interviews, they're going to put you to the test and test your knowledge, your ball knowledge.
They're going to throw some haymakers at you. They're going to throw some little caveats at you just to see how you respond.
Those videos of Dayball telling them, like, hey, like, put this up on the board. What's this look like to you or whatever? That's what they do. And that now he probably does it like overly, but it's the attention to detail that wins championships for quarterbacks. You've got to be meticulous in your preparation as a quarterback. And I'm not saying that Shedeur can't do that. I think that the guy has been coddled for his entire life, and he has God-given talent. That's not that's not to be questioned. The work ethic is kind of what's being questioned.
Last thing I'll say on it though, because I do want to say walk the plank to his preparation, but also walk the plank to the NFL for drafting him in the 5th round though, because I don't give a damn what you say. Dylan Gabriel is not a better quarterback than Shedeur Sanders, and Tyler Show out of Louisville. Did you see?
Hey, I'm glad that guy went to New Orleans.
Tyler Show out of Louisville. I don't give a damn I don't care how you feel about Shedeur Sanders. The fact that you draft those two guys and then the Giants go up back into the 1st round to draft Jackson Dart, which I think Dart is nice. He's okay, but you got to put perfection around Jackson Dart.
The resume already
as well.
I agree with you on the Tyler Show thing, but I'm glad he went to the Saints. I'll say that. I'm on record saying I'm glad he's going to be a Saint.
Tyler Show's a better quarterback than Shedeur Sanders?
I'm not saying that. I do think Jackson Dart is. I think that
perfection. If you surround perfection around Jackson Dart, he's a starter in the NFL. That's the caveat to that.
Yeah, you could say the same
on his own. You got to put stuff around him for him to
a lot of the talk about Shedeur is, and here's the problem, Artie. In the NFL, you can't go to the post-game press conference and ask, How many times did the opposing quarterback get sacked? I was getting hit. You can't put that on your. You can't.
No, you're right. You're
You
absolutely
can't
right.
throw your offensive line under the bus. And Shadur and his daddy Dion. And look, I'm an Atlanta sports guy. Love Dion. Love Dion. As an athlete, love it. Love his mentality. Honestly, I don't love all the pomp, not even pomp and circumstance, all the like flashiness of Dion and Shadur. I don't. I really don't. And I think that's something that these GMs and these coaches are looking at.
They didn't like the celebrity. They didn't
Exactly.
like the celebrity, and I get that, and I hope it lights a fire under his ass, and I hope
I'm not sure that it will. I'm not sure that it will.
I hope you're right, and maybe it won't, and maybe he'll still be the same person, and honestly, he won't flourish. But I am hoping that he's like, okay, I see it now. I get it. I get what I was doing wrong, and I can still be me, and I can still be my personality, but I get what I got to do better. Because Tyler Show and Dylan Gabriel are not better quarterbacks than me.
This is my problem with the whole Colorado thing and Dion and all the BS around it. They still went what? 8-5 last year?
They went 9-3. They went 9-3 in the regular season, man.
Okay, 9-4. Okay, I was one game off in the wrong direction.
They were 1-11 2 years ago.
That's fine.
1-11 2 years ago.
That's fine. ECU was 3-9 a couple years ago. Like that, I get it.
But you can't say that Dion is a terrible coach.
I'm not Artie. That's not what I'm saying, dude. What I'm saying is the media coverage of Colorado is honestly at this point, I'm over it. I'm tired of hearing about them. How? I can't watch any college football. I can't watch any college football content then.
Brother,
they're talking. They talk about Colorado right now as if they're Ohio State or Oregon, that they're going to be great because they got Dion and Dion's bringing his Louis Vuitton, and he still can't bring in a damn offensive line.
They talk about it,
and then Dion already Dion throws as a coach. You can't just be like, yeah, our offensive line sucks. You can say our offensive line sucks, but like you can't use that really as a defense for your son, right? You got to treat your son as if he was any other quarterback on your team. Yeah, our offensive line struggled today, but we got to figure out ways to extend plays.
The only thing I'll say about that is that that's up to the networks. That's not up to Dion and Colorado football.
I get that.
Of them is ESPN. It's Fox Sports.
But see, I think that
it's the network because they know that you and I are going to sit here on this podcast and have this conversation. That's up to the networks. That's not up to Dion.
But here's the thing: they talk about them so much. If the networks didn't cover them as much, are we even talking about Shadur Sanders being a potential top 5 pick in the draft? No, we're not. We're not. Based on his resume, based on Colorado's resume, we're not talking about that. But since the networks, ESPN and CBS and all of them are talking about Colorado ad nauseum, that we're being force-fed that, hey, these are the greatest. These guys are legit. They're good. I don't think that Shadur goes into the Big Ten and lights it on fire. I don't think Shadur does well playing in the SEC. Now,
I don't know. You put an SEC offensive liner on Shadur, he might be pretty good.
That's the one caveat.
He might be pretty good.
I still don't. I don't think. I there's a lot of factors at play there, Artie. I think you take him in the SEC and you put an SEC fan base on his ass, dude's gonna melt into a puddle.
I don't know.
He's gonna go to Cleveland and nobody gives a shit because he's going to Cleveland, and nobody's gonna care.
I'm rooting for him. I'm rooting for Shador, and I hope he succeeds. He's with Kevin Stefanski now. Cleveland is Cleveland. So obviously, if he fails, it's not a shock because it's Cleveland. But I'm rooting.
The only quarterback in recent history that has gone to Cleveland and really kind of made something of his career, Baker Mayfield. He's the only one.
They excommunicado him out of town. All he's doing is winning division crowns down in the South.
Not going to happen this year.
I don't know.
Not going to happen this year.
I don't know. I like they draft. They got a nice receiver. They got Mike Evans coming back. Who knows about Chris Godwin? I don't know. I kind of like Tampa Bay.
Nah. The one thing that the Falcons needed to do was shore out their D-line, and they fucking did it. The Falcons are going to run the South. Do not worry.
Hey, watch out for my short king Bryce Young down there in Charlotte, though. Don't let him go off. Don't let Bryce go off. Don't let Bryce go off.
Nobody's even thinking about the Panthers.
Atlanta might be playing third fiddle.
No shot. Everybody forgets. We're all forgetting that the Falcons had a shot to win the division in Week 17.
A shot, but they didn't win it.
Look, they won their game. They needed Tampa Bay to lose, and Tampa Bay won.
Baker's still in his prime too, man. Baker not going nowhere.
That's fine.
Baker not going nowhere.
You already had Michael Penix played during that stretch of 4 or 5 games where Kirk Cousins was hurt and the Falcons lost, I believe, 4 straight.
Mm-hmm. And Kirk only know how to throw to the other team?
Yeah. Kirk Cousins looked like Jake Garcia out there. ECU and the Atlanta Falcons are very similar. Can't sack the quarterback and throw a lot of interceptions.
Look,
you take Michael Penix and put him in. Look, Michael Penix lost 2 games last year, and both of them were in OT when he didn't even get to touch the ball.
I was just about to say that if Atlanta can figure out how to win close games, that's y'all's problem. Y'all don't know how to win close games. If y'all can figure out how to win close games, you might be halfway decent.
And let's not forget, I'm a little fuzzy on it. Lost a close game, maybe an OT to the Chiefs, and beat the Eagles last year. So early in the season, granted. The Falcons are going to be just fine. The Falcons are going to run this shit in the South. Raise up.
Third place.
Buddy.
Call it third place.
Buddy.
Third place.
The Panthers ain't shit.
Bucks, Panthers, Falcons, Saints.
No, I do think that I think it's going to be very tight at the top. The top 3 teams are. It's going to be.
That's going to be a heavy division. Y'all going to be scrapping.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I'm excited. This is the most excited I've been for an NFL season in a long time. And I think Michael Penix is the real deal.
I agree with you.
I think.
I like Penix.
I think Michael Penix, and this isn't a hot take, it's Jaden Daniels 1, Michael Penix 2 from last year's draft class.
We'll see. Because I got something to say about that. We'll see. They didn't put a squad around my boy, Jared. They didn't put a squad. If the Bears don't go to the playoffs, Caleb's a bust. I'm gonna tell you right now. If we don't go to the playoffs, Caleb's a bust.
What color fingernail polish is he gonna wear in the playoffs?
Damn, if he's got all pink, I don't care. I really don't care. He could wear whatever fingernail polish you want to. The boy better ball out though. That's all I know. I don't care what his fingernails look like.
Man,
play ball.
What are you gonna do when Kirk Cousins ends up back in y'all's division?
Kirk can come back. He off an Achilles. He about what 36, 37? He ain't doing nothing.
That's not an Achilles injury. That's not he Kirk Cousins looked stellar for the first 6 weeks last year.
Nobody's afraid of Kirk Cousins at this point in his career. Nobody. I don't care if he comes back to
Man,
North. He ain't doing nothing.
we're gonna ship him off somewhere, hopefully. All right, Artemis. One more quick walk the plank. Did you watch this interview with Bill Belichick?
Oh yeah.
What the fuck is going on in Chapel Hill?
Chapel
Hill, and I say this as respectfully as possible. Chapel Hill used to be, now maybe not so much in football, but has always kind of been like, okay, here Roy Williams and Dean Smith, like you've always had a long history of good coaches. You had Mac Brown. Mac Brown then decided to retire after losing to JMU, and then his team talked him into staying through the rest of the year. You had Larry Fedora. Who was even between Larry Fedora and Mac Brown?
I forget. Fedora was a good coach. I mean, he took him to a couple of conference title games.
That's cute. Look up his record against ECU.
Facts.
Now, UNC used to be like, okay, yes, they're the bell cow in the state of North Carolina when it comes to athletics.
UNC has always had this mystique, this aura.
That's a good word for it, Artie.
Yeah.
They've always been the most well-respected athletic program in the state. UNC. Now, Hubert Davis, I don't know. They may have to figure that out, but didn't they just give him another extension? But then hiring Bill Belichick, I get it. I absolutely get hiring Bill Belichick, one of the greatest coaching minds to ever walk the earth. I absolutely get it. But to bring in Bill Belichick while he's dating this 24-year-old girl that I don't know what the hell's going on down there. Like the fact that she's having to be CC'd on all emails to him and like kind of running like security on him, kind of running point for him, makes no sense at all. Makes no sense. Does he got some? Is he losing it up top? Is that why she's around? Is she kind of like his caretaker? Dude's 73.
Exactly. He's an old man. He's a grumpy old man who's trying to coach college kids in college football.
But
his philosophy and his approach works in the pros. I think he was wise enough to know I'm in college now. I got to switch all this up. If I'm going to be remotely successful, I can't be the same old Bill that I was. I got to switch this up. She's girlfriend. She's PR, marketing. All of it. She's make sure his wardrobe is straight. Make sure the haircut is good. She's everything. She's
just weird.
All in one package.
It's just weird. It's super weird.
I agree.
And then
weird, but I think she's a one.
And now
like 8 different jobs.
Look, Bill Belichick doesn't need to be the head football coach at Chapel Hill. He doesn't need that job.
He doesn't need it, but he wanted to get back into coaching. And the NFL, much like they did with Shador, because they don't need nobody. They said, "Nah, bro, we don't need you. We don't need you."
That's fine. Honestly, if I'm Bill Belichick, I'm just riding off into the sunset, taking my 6 Super Bowl rings and drinking margaritas on a beach somewhere.
Most old men would do that. Most 73-year-old men would do that. But a 7-time Super Bowl champion and Bill Belichick is like, nah, I need one more hoorah. I need to stick it to him. I feel like Bill's like, I need to stick it to all those people that passed over on me in the NFL.
All
the Atlanta Falcons.
Look, it's just weird. And the way that he's running it, and I get it, like they got NIL. They are still, Carolina is spending all this money on football. Look, there's 4 P5 programs. I understand that in the state of North Carolina. you can argue that two of them do not belong, other than in basketball, just based on size of the school and whatnot. Carolina and NC State do less with more than anybody around them that I can think of. Now, NC State on a lesser extent, Carolina has all the money in the world, can hire anybody that they want. They can bring in any transfer they want in the portal. And they're still going to do all that and go 6-7 next year with a bowl game loss to Marshall.
But they understand the landscape. And they also know that there is no football power in North Carolina. That is up for grabs. Who's going to become the first football power in the state of North Carolina? This is a basketball state. Who's going to become the football power in North Carolina? You got it to the south, right?
I don't think Bill Belichick's that guy to do that. I don't think the way that they're going about things down there in Carolina is the way to do it.
And I'm with you, but they're desperate because they're like, the football power in North Carolina is up for grabs, and it's going to be between State, Carolina, Duke. It's going to be between those three. Who's going to grab it?
Yeah, I told somebody last week. I played golf last week, and I told somebody, I said, the guy's a Wake fan. Guy went to Western Carolina. Guy's a Wake fan though. Lives here in Winston-Salem or around Winston, season tickets. And I was like, it pains me to say that right now, over the last 3 to 5 years, the best football program in the state is Duke.
Yeah, consistent. And Manny not going. I like what Manny's doing in Durham.
Yeah.
I like what Manny Diaz is doing in Durham. Duke not going nowhere either.
That's a school I'd like to see ECU schedule.
Would love to play Duke.
Would love to see ECU play Duke in football. And I mean, Bubba, hit us up. We'll play y'all in Chapel Hill. Play us. You scared? Bill Belichick scared of Bill Belichick scared to play a team that's.
I don't think Bill's scared of nobody.
scared of playing a team that's named the Pirates or AKA Buccaneers, huh? Bill?
This man is willing to have a girlfriend that's old enough to be his granddaughter. I don't think Bill's scared of nobody. He's that bold.
I'm trying to do the math there, Artie. I guess yes, she would be old enough to be his, or young enough to be his granddaughter. I guess
yeah, I shouldn't say old enough. She could be young enough to be his granddaughter. Yes.
Yeah, that put my brain in a pretzel.
That's the thing.
Like, hey, he's 50 years older than she is. How did those conversations go at dinner? Like,
she's watching TikToks and he still got the newspaper up.
Like, you go home to this, you go to this girl's house. She's like, "Oh, I can't wait for you to meet my dad and my mom."
And he's older than her dad.
And he walks in. "How's it going, son? Like, nice to meet you." And he's saying that to fucking Bill Belichick. Now listen to me here, boy. I don't know. See, I got this 12 gauge. When you get back now, I'll be cleaning this thing. I'm practicing, Artie. I see all the little boys flock to my daughter when I drop her off at preschool, and I'm like, "Yo,
no, we're not having that. Hold up now."
I'm like, "Chill out, Harrison. Back up. Let my girl in."
Nah, they need to calm down with that. Leave my goddaughter alone. Calm down with that.
I want to give her a shout out. She will be 2 this week. So, baby girl growing up. It's hard to believe, man. 2 years old. Not a care in the world. just an absolute like lunatic.
Well, I hope it's not terrible twos for you. I hope it's smooth sailing. I hope it's smooth sailing.
We've started introducing timeout.
It's about that time.
She got threatened with timeout tonight. We're teaching her no slamming doors. So I used to play with the doors. Walks up and slams that thing, and my wife goes, "Don't slam the door." And then I had to. That's how I know I'm getting to be an adult, Artie. You know, I'll be 30 in May, but
must be nice. I've been there for a few months.
Hey, you're only 3 months older than me.
Yeah, that's true.
But having to try to discipline a child.
Yeah, I'm sure.
It's like
when the discipline has to come in. You can't just be all easy going and loving. It's like
the best is when what she's doing, like she doesn't know any better, and you know that she doesn't know any better, but you're still trying to correct it. But whatever she's doing is honestly hilarious. My favorite story. My wife made where we had black bean quesadillas. She had a black bean quesadilla. My wife gave it to her and was like, "You need to eat this." And then she like spit it out, and then my wife handed it back to her again. This was probably 6-7 months ago, so she was still like pretty young. And she threw the black bean quesadilla at my wife. You can't discipline a 18-month-old. Like they don't know what they're doing. That's just a reaction. They don't know how to control it. I busted out laughing. And
that was the wrong thing. I was pissed.
She was like, "You're not helping." And I said, "That was funny. That was real funny."
No, I'd have to walk out the room. I couldn't. I would probably laugh, but I couldn't do it. I'd have to walk out real quick. I'd be like,
There's so many times where like whatever she's doing, I am like choking on my laughter. And then I broke out for the first time. Does it look like I'm smiling? Does it look like I'm laughing? I broke that out for the first time tonight.
Uh-oh.
And she kept on giggling, just kept on giggling and walked away. I was like, what am I going to do? All right, Artie. Good episode. I love how we said before coming on 45 minutes and we're out. We're an hour and 40 minutes into this thing.
Yep.
Shout out to all the people that have been watching us just talk about random bullshit for the last 20 minutes. I appreciate y'all.
We appreciate y'all.
And those of you listening as you're driving in the car and listening as you're working your 9 to 5, we love you. Make sure you subscribe to us wherever you listen to your podcast, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, whatever. Subscribe, leave us a 5-star review. Also, subscribe on our YouTube. We need that. And then follow us on social media at Boneyard Podcast. Follow us there. Keep up with us on X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it. Mm-hmm. And then also on Instagram. All right, Artie, let's get the hell out of here.
Let's do it. As always, Pride Nation, we appreciate y'all. Thank y'all for tuning in. Wash your hands, wash your butts. Deuce.
Go damn Pirates.